When you hear the word self-care, what is the first thing or first things that you think about? Is it the mani-pedis? Is it the massages? Is it the long bubble baths? While those things are important, they are not the only things that constitute self-care. Because truth of the matter is, sometimes we just don't have time for all of those things, or those things don't even feel pleasurable for us, right? But what is self-care truly? Well, in this video, you will find out. And these are the self-care tips that will actually help you to peacefully move on. So in this video, you will receive 6 things that you want to prioritize so that you can set yourself up for success to peacefully move on. And these things don't have to be anything superficial. These are actual important things for your body, for your mind, body, and soul to actually thrive during this time. And who doesn't want a good breakup glow, right? And this breakup glow just doesn't come with having a facial. It actually comes from internally, which is going to be more valuable for you long term, right? So let's begin. The first one is to ensure that you eat nourishing foods at this time, especially brain foods. Brain foods, yo, 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 yo. Why? Because these brain foods and these types of foods and having your brain optimized is actually very important because our brain secretes hormones that helps us emotionally regulate. And as you know, during this time, your emotions are all over the place, right? And that's normal. The emotional roller coaster is quite normal and valid at this time. So you want to be able to optimize how you are able to deal with those emotions. And one of the ways you can do this is by eating nourishing foods. So what kind of foods are they, right? I got you. I got you right here. Where are we? There. So some of the brain food examples are, you can screenshot this. But pretty much avocados, blueberries, dark chocolate. There's a reason why dark chocolate is bigger than the rest, right? Dark chocolate, anything over 70%. Eggs, green leafy vegetables such as spinach, collard greens, bok choys, stuff like that. And then turmeric, you've got walnuts, broccoli, and any foods that are high in omega-3 fatty acids, such as salmon or sardines. Having this in your diet at least one of these per day, if you can, multiple times per day. Just a few servings of them is really not only going to help your health long term, but also will help you during this time when you're feeling those emotions, when you're processing them, right? Set yourself up for success for your body to help you out during this time. The next priority is hydration. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Water is super duper important. Why? Because your brain is made up of 80% water, as well as your body is made up of around 60% water. Need I say more, right? Dehydration can also cause a lot of, energy lows, brain fog, brain fog, brain fog. And so by keeping yourself hydrated, you're actually able to really allow your body to work for you, right? You allow yourself to flush all the toxins out, especially if you're doing things like subconscious and energetic work, right? That takes a lot of energy, especially in the brain when you're doing the energetic and the subconscious work. So allow yourself to flush all that out. And at this time, you're letting go, right? You're letting go a lot of things. So allow yourself to detoxify. And one of the best ways to make sure that you actually do that is to ensure that you are hydrating yourself enough. And how do you know if you're hydrated enough? It really depends on the person. There's a lot of recommendations out there as to how much water you need, but a good rule of thumb is to really notice what your urine looks like, right? If your urine looks really, really dark, then girl, you gotta drink up, right? And if you actually want more information about this, you can Google, urine hydration levels, and you'll see the gradients of urine. I know that, it might be uncomfortable for some of you, but this is how you actually assess your hydration levels is through your urine. So obviously the amount of time that you've gone to the bathroom and also what the color of your urine is a great indication as to what your hydration levels are. So Google that stuff right now and see how hydrated you are. Priority number three is sleep. I know, super important. So, if you want to improve on things like reaction time, executive planning, executive functioning, focus, concentration, then make sure you get enough sleep. Usually, 7 to 9 hours is what they recommend. And also, what you want to do at this time is to make sure that you are going to bed at the same time as well as waking up at around the same time. Now, is that always 100% possible? Sometimes not, right? Because life happens. So allow yourself the compassion when there are times when your sleep is interrupted. But at the same time, really make it a habit to make sleep your priority. I'm sure you've noticed that when your sleep is just off, everything just feels very off too, right? So prioritize this at this time. Your body and your future and your health will thank you. And, self-care is all about you, right? So when you're able to optimize yourself, you are able to think more clearly when you are able to get that night's rest. So you may have noticed that there are a lot of tips here regarding our brain specifically and how to optimize our brain. Well, why is this important? Why is our brain important? Silly question, I know. But really, truth of the matter is self-care is one of these things that that can, especially focusing on your brain during this time, is really helpful because when you're going through a separation, there's a normal grieving process after that, right? There's a lot of emotions. Your emotions, which are also controlled by your subconscious, by your brain. And when you are able to prioritize all of these things, your subconscious is going to be able to process all the grief. It's going to process all the emotions. And of course, it will help you to think more clearly and be able to um show up for yourself better, right? And so that's why it's super important to prioritize your brain, and hence why all of these things will be linking a lot to your brain. Priority number four is movement, 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 movement. So, a lot of studies have shown that regular exercise, even just as little as 10 minutes per day, can really help your brain function, especially in an area of your brain called the hippocampus. So, if you don't know what the hippocampus is, that it is the area in your brain that is involved with memory and learning. And so when you're going through a separation, right, you're learning something new about yourself. You're going through the whole processes, and you're learning a lot about how to live without that other person. So doesn't it just make sense to prioritize something like this? And also endorphins are good, right? Endorphins are the hormones that make you feel good after any type of movement that you enjoy. Find what is good for you, because what this does is this allows you to feel good even though the circumstances that you have are challenging, right? And also, there's been lots of studies that have a correlation between the function of our brain and exercise, and how it just improves it greatly. And this is for you and your health in the long term, so why not, right? Even just as little as 10 minutes, go out for a walk, do a little bit of yoga and stretching. It's good for your soul as well. Priority number five is nature. So, as humans, being out in nature is something that we have evolved to really, really thrive in, right? We thrive in nature. We have evolved to be out in nature. And, a lot of studies have shown that there are a lot of physical and psychological benefits with being outdoors and being in touch with nature, because it really helps our stress levels. And it's also shown to decrease our cortisol, which are our stress hormones, right? It helps lower our blood pressure, it helps lower our heart rate, and at the same time, it lowers the activation of our sympathetic nervous system. And our sympathetic nervous system is our fight or flight response, right? Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. And this tends to get heightened when we are in a state of distress, such as going through a separation, right? When we're in a separation, sometimes it feels like we are in survival mode, which is true at some extent, right? We are in fight or flight mode. So by being able to really regulate that, because long periods of stress and long periods of fight or flight and sympathetic activation can really cause disease in our body, right? So by being able to really counteract that effect and help us lower our parasympathetic, lower our sympathetic nervous system activation and increase our parasympathetic, which is the rest and digest healing part of our nervous system, then we get to be out in nature. And even just as little as, you can start 15 minutes a day, just be out in nature, just be out by the trees, breathe some fresh air in. If there's sun, the better, right? The vitamin D also helps us with our health. The sixth priority is play, having some fun, incorporate some joy and chillness in your life during this time. So really you get to decide what play is for you, right? What makes you have fun, what makes you connect with that part of you that is still, it's very childlike. There's nothing wrong with getting in touch with that at this time. Is it going out for rock climbing? Is it painting? Is it drawing? Is it singing? Is it dancing? It's limitless, right? Is it solving puzzles, right? It could be, you have certain toys that you want to play around with. Nothing wrong with that, right? And every day in your life, say you're doing something like yoga, how can you be more playful during your practice? These are things to really incorporate to allow you to, just chill the fuck down, right? And allow you to just get in tune with your own body and lighten things up during this difficult time. So what are those playful things for you? And so again, just to summarize, the six things are having nourishing brain foods, water, sleep, movement, being out in nature, and play. And guess what? You can be completely creative with this. Be creative, have fun with this. You can plan a few hours, maybe just an hour, maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, where you could go out for a hike. Make sure you're well hydrated. And when you're out for a hike, then you can have fun with it, right? Play around, jump around, like do whatever it is that you need to let that inner child out. And at the same time, after that hike, you can plan a nourishing meal after that. And when you're out in nature at that time, right? And at the same time, make sure you get adequate sleep after that, because the rest from all of that fun is also going to help you out. Resting is really what helps us heal, right? And so when you're going through this journey, especially when you're going through um, and you're using tools such as subconscious work, like what I do with my clients, a lot of rest, a lot of sleep is also very important to really integrate the healing in a deep level. We heal the best when we have enough rest and we have the nutrients and the water to fully allow our body to help us during this time. So what are your plans? Share them in the comments below, and I will see you soon.